It's taken me about 2 years to get this formula together.
Good morning, everybody. Okay. Now, because we're all a load of women in one age of the strand, it means that we're going to be gossiping, we're going to be drinking, we're going to be having a good time at 9:30 in the morning. Exactly. There's a cheers already from the front. Ladies, put your hands up if you are in your 30s.
I wish.
Welcome. You don't know what's coming. Put your hands up if you're in your 40s. Oh, more. Hello. So you've got a bit of an understanding, I think, maybe, of sort of some of the changes that start to happen. Put your hands up if you're in your 50s. Oh, yeah. And do we have anybody in their 60s? Yes. Yes. The queens.
My queen.
The queens. So hello, everybody, and welcome this morning. Thank you for coming so early to our MenoPause with UKLASH event. Today's conversation is about something that I think we don't talk nearly enough about. I know there's been a lot about menopause recently, and Dr. Zoe's very aware of this over the last couple of years, but I still don't think that we're talking enough about women's health and the changes that we experience as women throughout our lives, particularly to our skin and hair. That's what we're going to be focusing on a lot this morning, but also those other things that can really affect our confidence as women going through our biological changes. We've called this session MenoPause because we actually just want to take a bit of a beat. Life is very fast. Life can be overwhelming. So it's time just to stop, have your ginger shot, just listen to our bodies and just talk openly and honestly about what is really going on. Because if we can't talk about it as women, then who can you talk to about it? And in fact, I was talking to a lovely lady this morning who's somewhere in the audience who was saying that culturally as well, menopause is often, hello. Yeah. What's your name, by the way? Famida. So thank you. So we were just talking about that culturally, this isn't spoken about enough as well. So thank you for that. And we are joined by a brilliant panel who'll help us to do exactly that. Women who see these changes every single day. They are the experts and they understand this inside and out. Before we dive into the whole panel, this is a conversation. So I want you guys to join in. I want you, if you've got something that you want to say throughout, just stick your paw up and shout it out. I'll come to you or we'll get a mic to you. There is more of an official Q&A at the end, but honestly, because it's a chat, if you've got something to say or doesn't make sense, I'll see you, just put your hand up. Also, this is breakfast. So if you want to get up and go and get yourself another coffee or a cup of tea, a bun, then feel free to just go to the bar and grab it. It's just an easy conversation. So joining us today on our expert panel, we have broadcaster, of course, the queen, the doyenne of broadcasting, television, radio, magazines, the lot, who's keeping it honest, Anthea Turner, who's keeping it honest with her midlife wisdom and experience. We also have, of course, Dr. Zoe Williams, who'll help us to understand what is happening within. We have Dr. Widad, our dermatologist and skin expert. I mean, look at the skin. Who'd have known? She's in her 80s. She's in her 80s. It's extraordinary. And we also have trichologist Angela Anoha, who knows more about our hair and scalp than actually we do. And she has been checking this morning. Let me tell you, she's been going around looking. Welcome, girls.
Thank you very
much for being here. And thank you for being such extraordinary women and being experts in your field. That's exactly what we need. So, Anthea, I'm going to start with you because you and I have we've both smashed through the menopause and come through the other side. And yeah, let me tell you, for me, certainly it's been a bumpy ride. What has the most difficult thing been for you in terms of, because you're 65 now, aren't you? Is that right? So you're well and truly through it. What was the most difficult thing for you?
Before we say anything else, Anna and I didn't ring each other up and say, what you're wearing. Maybe if we had have done, we wouldn't have come out in school uniform.
It's like, are you wearing the M&M? Yeah, me too.
Yes, I wear that as well. The most difficult thing, I think, I went through all this. It was 2012. So we're going back some time now. And the most difficult thing for me at the time was actually explaining myself. In fact, just being here, this is the best thing about the menopause, that you're all here, we're here, and we're all talking about it. Because when I started out on my journey, and I don't know about you, there just wasn't the conversation. You could, if you really looked, you could find something, and the other thing is nobody really wanted to talk about it, because it's this horrible admission as a woman that I'm getting old. And God forbid do we want to admit that. Now we're over that and we don't see age in the same way. Which, hallelujah, that's brilliant. I went to my local doctor, sat there sniveling and giving him all what I now know was the perimenopause. And I think he was a bit bemused, really. And he said, I'm going to give you a prescription for tranquilizers.
For tranquilizers?
Oh, yes.
Oh, my
yes.
God.
So oh dear, I didn't think I was that bad.
Yes. We've got Anthea in, she's mental, tranquilizers, data.
So that's how I left, with this prescription for tranquilizers. And I remember going to the chemist and getting them. And then before I even took one, thought, no, this has got to be wrong. And obviously I went on my own journey, which we'll come back to.
Well, I'm going to come to that shortly, actually, because you really did go on your own journey, which has been extraordinary for you. But I'm shocked by that you were prescribed tranquilizers.
Well, actually, it wasn't unusual.
No.
It wasn't unusual, was it? And you will know this. And even now, there are some doctors in some remote areas that don't understand it. And this was a gentleman who, it was a practice in Isha. There's lots of ladies live in Isha. And you would have just thought that it would have been like I don't know, there'd be a flow of women coming of a certain age going, this is what I'm going
it's
through.
Quite incredible.
This is what I
so,
need. Anyway.
Dr. Zoe, I mean, you have talked a lot about this. I mean, you're well known as a broadcaster and as a doctor for talking about the menopause. It has been described as puberty in reverse, which kind of makes sense to me.
Yeah.
So for the women here who are either going through perimenopause, have come through the other side and it's still tricky, or have got it yet to come, just describe what exactly is going on in the body.
What is it? What's happening? Well, first of all, that word menopause is actually just a moment in time. So your menopause is when you haven't had a period for 365 days. So it's that kind of stamp in time. Prior to that, the time leading up to that is the perimenopause. And then after that moment, it's the post-menopause. And I think in order to understand what's happening with our hormones, we need to understand a little bit about something else, which is a medical mystery, which is our menstrual cycle. More than half of the population will have menstrual cycles and menopause, yet it's something that in medical school we're taught very little about.
Don't you get something like, don't GPs get something like a day's training or something insane?
Much less. For menopause,
yeah.
Much less. More now, but when I was training, I've been a doctor for 18 years. I don't think there was anything about menopause. It would have been mentioned this happens, but I don't think there was anything about menopause. I did an additional qualification with the Royal College of Obstetrics and Gynecology, and even as part of that, it was only a small little section that was on menopause. So anyway, in the menstrual cycle, we have 4 phases, and we go on about the period. Everyone talks about the period, poor girls, they have to have a period, boys don't have that. But actually, there are certain times in the menstrual cycle where we have superpowers. So in the follicular phase, which is from when your period starts up to when you ovulate, that is when your estrogen is dominating. And estrogen as a hormone makes you feel like Superwoman. It drives your metabolism, you burn more energy, you're confident, you're motivated, you're highly productive. You feel and actually appear more attractive to other people.
So where are my patches?
When you're in the gym, you're stronger. Your body is more able to lay down muscle. Like, it's amazing. So estrogen is this hormone that in that phase of your menstrual cycle, you feel like Superwoman. After ovulation, estrogen starts to decline and progesterone dominates. And progesterone is our chill vibes hormone. So it's got a real calming effect. It dampens down anxiety and it helps us sleep. And then in the bit just before your period, the premenstrual bit, both estrogen and progesterone start coming down. Now, who has symptoms before their period? There are over 150 symptoms, anything from headaches, breast pain, bloating, to rages, unable to sleep, anxiety, depression, mood swings, etc. Because both hormones are coming down.
So that's because of both of them coming down.
Both coming down at the same time. So you lose that superwoman estrogen and you lose that chilled vibes progesterone. Now, if we think about what's happening in menopause or perimenopause, both hormones are coming down. It's like a long, drawn out premenstrual syndrome phase of our lives. It's a bit more complicated than that because estrogen's actually all over the place during perimenopause. And that, therefore, can cause over 150 symptoms. And the thing about menopause is every single woman will have a different experience of perimenopause and menopause. Some will have no symptoms at all. And some...
Who are those women?
I know. And some will suffer so badly that they will be suicidal.
Yes.
And it's not fair. So that's essentially what's happening with our hormones. And then there's testosterone as well, which is also much more slowly, but also coming down. And that's where the loss of libido comes in and loss of hair follicles, which I'm sure we'll talk about as well.
And your skin changes as well and everything.
So these, I mean, essentially, we are not really put on this when we, go back generations and generations. We didn't really live beyond our 50s.
Yeah.
So these hormones keep us healthy, keep us sane, and keep us thriving. So as we've extended our life expectancy with sanitation and medication and surgery, our hormones haven't altered. Our ovaries still sort of decline.
I'm interested to know, with the girls here as well, who has suffered or used to suffer or still does suffer with any kind of PMS type symptoms? I mean, that's kind of at least half of you, actually. Is it true, Zoe, that if you suffered with postpartum depression or PMS, you're likely to have a slightly dodgy menopause as well?
Yeah, there is a correlation, and I don't know if you've heard of something called PMDD, which is premenstrual dysphoric disorder, and that's people who, instead of having premenstrual syndrome, they have an extremely severe set of symptoms before their period. And whilst it's linked to hormones, it's actually a condition of the brain. So some people's brains are more susceptible to the changes in hormones than others. And particularly, we're learning more and more about women who have a diagnosis of ADHD or who actually may get their diagnosis of ADHD during menopause, may be more susceptible.
Oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
God, I didn't know that. I mean, we're all heading that way.
Yeah.
So what can we do to support ourselves if you're in your 40s or if you're going into your 50s, going into perimenopause and menopause? What can we do to support ourselves to make this journey as easy as possible? And I'm thinking holistically, so nutrition, mental health, exercise. What should we be doing? And girls, I will be coming to you, but jump in on this as well, please, because you are the experts. What can we be doing?
I think the biggest thing, the most important thing is knowledge. Be informed. Knowledge is power. And that doesn't mean going and reading loads of books, but have some understanding. Talk to people. Talk to your relatives, talk to your friends, talk to your work colleagues. It's been hushed down for so long. This is something we all experience. And if it's out in the open, it makes it much easier to go through. So that's my number one.
But again, sorry, I will come back, but culturally, this is difficult, isn't it? That when we talk about talk to your friends or talk to your family, that can be hard. I mean, is that true?
Extremely hard, yeah. It's not something that we... so I'm half Egyptian, half Sudanese, but in general, in Arab, Middle Eastern cultures, it's not something that we talk about at home. If symptoms develop, most women tend to hide them. In general, we don't tend to see doctors often for female-related medical reasons, and so that's why then symptoms are suppressed, and your mood may change, but the people around you are not very good at understanding what exactly is going on.
And is that the case as well within the Afro-Caribbean community, would you say?
I would say yes, but I do think that it's up to us to kind of like break that cycle. And I do think that whenever you start, or at least that's what I try to do, you'll notice that we all need it. We all need to talk about it. So I think that my number one thing would be like try to be that first person to at least try to talk about with your relatives to kind of see if there's a need. And trust me, 9 out of 10 times you will notice that your relatives will be like, finally, there's someone that I trust that I can talk about this situation
I can
with.
discuss this.
Yeah.
Love it. So conversation, talk about it first, break down those taboos, because let's face it, our mothers probably didn't talk to us about it. So be the conversation. What else should we be doing,
My
Zoe?
mother was put on tranquilizers too.
Was
I look
she?
back at that time and think that now I know that's what was going on. So thinking about, lifestyle then, I think exercise can combat so many of the effects of this loss of estrogen. So when we lose estrogen, we're losing bone density, we're losing muscle, our body's got more of a tendency to put on visceral fat, which is the belly fat. So exercise can help combat all of that. But also, estrogen affects the chemicals, the neurotransmitters in our brain, serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline. That's why it affects our mood and our reward system and our motivation. And actually exercising, just doing sort of a 15-minute brisk walk around the block will give you this burst of amazing, like, cocktail of brain chemicals, such as serotonin, dopamine, noradrenaline. But one thing to be wary of, I think, as somebody myself, has always been somebody who loves to do a full-on HIIT workout to the point where I'm dead on the floor. We really need to control our stress response in this phase of life, and we need to really think about managing our cortisol. So it's actually during this phase of our life, those workouts where you really push yourself to the extreme might not be best. So focusing on muscle strength, resistance training,
and being calm,
steady state,
bringing down the stress response as
jogging
well
rather
at this
than
stage in
sprinting.
life. Okay, so
Can I make a comment actually now that you're talking about stress? Because I think stress is such a big thing, and chronic low levels of stress will lead to just lingering high levels of cortisol. And cortisol is a catabolic hormone, so it will break everything down. It will break collagen, break elastin. It will release inflammatory mediators that will trigger acne, rosacea, make eczema worse, psoriasis worse. And so it's very important, one, to have insight, when you're stressed, but also to manage it. And that's different for everyone.
Yeah.
So it could be walking, it could be talking, it could be exercising, it could be, mindfulness, reading. It's very important to make time in the day to that for yourself. It's very important. I think I'm just very big on stress and how it should be managed, and don't ignore it because chronically it's not good for the mind, the skin, the body, and the skin being the largest organ in the human body will always be the first very sensitive to pick up on hormonal changes in our blood.
Yeah, and I also think that stress is so normalized nowadays because we're all so busy, and especially as women. Like, I know that we can handle stress pretty well, but it doesn't mean that it's a good thing. It's like really that like red line in our lives that actually isn't the best. So I'm also really big on stress. It's the most difficult thing to change, but the awareness is very important for sure.
And funnily enough, I've just completed a clinical hypnosis and CBT
Ooh,
diploma.
very
Yeah. And the therapist that I was training with was saying that the majority of the people that come to see them are midlife women whose anxiety is off the scale because they're the sandwich generation of, obviously, the peak of their careers, but their children have left to go to university, their parents are dying, they're going through menopause, and their stress is off the scale. So it's really, really important that we start to just manage, as you say, that low level stress that creeps up, particularly with our physical changes as well.
Yeah, and you have to, this is where this time in our life, it's hard to manage stress. Like, how do we change the stressful things in our lives? Well, maybe we can't change them, but we can change how it impacts our body. And we have to prioritize ourselves, because cortisol as a hormone actually exacerbates practically every single symptom of the menopause, from hot flushes to weight gain to mood changes to skin changes, and actually having low stress, if you are going to take HRT, which we haven't spoken about yet, actually helps HRT work better as well. So we can't afford to be stressed, so we have to do something about it. Even though we think that's impossible, it's not. There are things we can do.
And Anthea, you did, didn't you? You called your menopause your health MOT.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. And I think one thing that probably bonds all of us together who is in this particular phase of our life, is actually what happens is that you lose your confidence. And confidence is the key to life. And if you start to lose your confidence, it's like this downward spiral where you're finding it more difficult and more difficult to get up and stand up. And it's lovely to say about finding time for yourself and reading and all these things, but it is the most difficult thing to do because, and when I was going through mine, my ex-husband,
Yeah.
Can I just say my ex-husband, who I wrote a letter to, and I found it not that long ago, and I was trying to explain what was going on in my life. I later found out he was having an affair, so he wasn't interested in his sweaty wife. So, but anyway, we jest now. But I like moved house twice in 3 years. My ex-husband's business was going down. I'd rolled up my sleeves and did what all women do. You think, right, I've got to work my way out of this. You know, the school fees to pay and lots of things to do. And I was literally commuting backwards and forwards to Canada and filming and coming home. And somewhere in all this melee, I was going through the menopause as well.
Oh,
so
God.
they are difficult times, and it doesn't come at a good time in your life. It absolutely doesn't. It isn't like, oh, well, we'll do the menopause when it's all a little bit later and you've all calmed down and everything's like, no, it doesn't. It comes probably at the worst time in your life. So we need to get our confidence back. How was I going to get my confidence back? I was going to do the only thing that I knew. I used vanity and I used self-preservation because sometimes that's what you need. You need to look in the mirror and you need to say, okay, then my skin, my hair, my waistline, I don't look the same. And just bring in what we women have. And there's nothing wrong in a little bit of vanity to get that confidence back and look in the mirror. And you,
100%.
both of you work with this every single day with people coming to you. What am I going to do? So I now, looking back, and I can look back because I'm so far the other side, is that there's doom and gloom talked about the menopause, of which, you know, we don't dismiss at all, but it is probably the best wake-up call you will ever have to take control.
Yeah.
Because up until then, we've all done it. We've partied. We've had a great time. We've eaten whatever we wanted to eat. We haven't really thought about our health because we didn't need to. And we all know there comes a point when you have a big night out and it isn't just 8 hours sleep and you're fine the next day. It takes you 3 or 4 days to get over it. So you suddenly go, okay, things are changing. So start to take control of your health. You're right. You don't have to go and do a HIIT class. I'm so glad you said that. But you start to think, right, little by little, you start picking off all those things. Food,
You
exercise.
changed your diet radically, didn't you? That you cut out the processed
Sugar.
foods. Really?
Processed food and sugar. I mean, I know we like it, and I'm looking at those croissants over there, and I might have one actually, because I do the 80-20 rule. You know, if you do 80% of things are good,
It's all about
20%,
balance.
I can
Yeah.
have that croissant. It's got my name on it, and I love them. So 80-20 rule with clothes or with exercise and looking after yourself, and think, right, okay, then I'm going to sort my hair out. Mine was literally, I've got a lot of hair. It was breaking off, but my hairdresser said to me, he accused me of cutting my own hair. And I said, no, I haven't. He said, well, it's all broken at the back.
Well, I do want to ask about that actually.
Yeah.
So we are here also, obviously, to learn about beauty and skin and our hair.
It matters.
It really does matter. And I love the fact that you're saying, look, get a grip, girls. This is the age where get control of your health, your nutrition, but also how you look, because it's a confidence boost. So, Andrew, if I can ask you, lots of women do talk about the fact that in midlife and also postpartum as well, post-baby, their hair changes. So I've noticed that mine, and I've got a lot of hair like Anthea, but it's really sort of thinning. So what's going on?
Yeah, you just talked about it. It's all about the estrogen dropping. And also the testosterone becoming a little bit more dominant because that drops in a slower rate. So what will happen is you will first experience, especially while pregnant, you experience these like full luscious hairs. You feel like you have more hair, more density.
Because of the estrogen.
Yes, that
Okay.
level kind of is responsible for keeping your hair in a bit longer in that growing phase. But when that drops, your hair gets into that resting phase. It will fall out, it will come in that resting phase. And what you will notice is that also that growth phase afterwards, it all kind of slows down because the hair follicles are actually the last piece out of your body that the energy goes to. It's not life essential, honestly.
Really?
And that's also why you see with people having certain chemotherapies that hair falls out, because the body is responding in a way of like, we need to make sure that the energy goes where it's needed.
Okay.
So even with that drop during menopause, your body gets that hit and it's like, okay, we're in survival mode. What is necessary? And unfortunately, hair isn't one of them. Also, due to the testosterone being a bit higher in comparison to the dropping estrogen, is what you'll notice is that hair follicles can shrink. It's not with everyone, like it depends on the person, unfortunately, but that will also make you end up with thinner hair.
Right.
Almost similar, not the same as in male, what you can see, and that is what you're probably noticing with the
So your
thinning.
hair is quite literally thinner then?
It can become thinner. It's not in every case. It's really depending on the person, but that is what we see. Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah.
And Widad, let's talk a bit more about skin as well, because we haven't touched on that at the moment. What skin changes do we start to see in midlife? And do we need to change our skincare routine and also our makeup routine?
So, as you guys have already said, what happens in menopause is that the estrogen is dropping, and estrogen dropping leads to a direct correlation in reduction in collagen, reduction in elastin, and reduction in hyaluronic acid production. And if I just go back a step, in our cells, in our skin, we have cells called fibroblasts. And these fibroblasts have little receptors on them which cling onto estrogen. So pre-menopause, the estrogen is floating around, it attaches onto these receptors, and these receptors then activate the cell to produce collagen, produce elastin, and produce hyaluronic acid. And so when the estrogen levels drop, the changes are due to hormonal shifts. So as the estrogen levels are dropping, you'll get drier skin. And the commonest reason to have itchy skin is dry skin. So that will manifest as skin itching. You will also get increased sensitivity. Creams will feel different on the skin. So it's not that you're absorbing them differently. The
Yeah.
molecular absorption of the
I've really
products,
noticed that. Yeah.
yeah, the absorption is exactly the same. The active ingredients are still being absorbed as usual, but it's your perception of how they feel on your skin. So they may feel thicker, they may feel stickier, and you may feel a bit more sensitive to ingredients or products you weren't as sensitive to before. So in answer to your question, and just a point about collagen, so studies have shown that in the first 5 years after menopause, the collagen production decreases by 30%, and then it just continues to decline after that. And so in answer to your question, you don't have to change your whole skincare routine. You need to focus on products or ingredients that moisturize the skin. So things like ceramides, hyaluronic acid, peptides, panthenol, niacinamide, all those ingredients are really important for moisturizing the skin. The reason makeup sits differently is because the skin barrier is just not as robust. And so that's why it feels differently when you apply makeup.
Well, I've noticed as well that I've had to really reduce down my makeup. I've had to make it much, much more subtle. So I'm suddenly turning into my mother. So I'm kind of like, my God, because you know how your mum stopped wearing makeup. And I'm like, I'm becoming that woman. So is it right that actually in midlife we do need to just tone it down a little bit as well with our makeup?
I think there are some fundamentals of a skincare routine that should never change, no matter what age or stage of life we are. And I always tell my patients, when they ask me specifically about maintaining a skincare routine, they see stuff on social media and it becomes all very overwhelming and complicated. The fundamental steps are cleansing twice a day, exfoliating once or twice a week. I personally like to exfoliate every day, and then
Wow.
toning twice a day. And I think
it shouldn't be a routine. This is an act of self-care. You should actually enjoy it when you're doing it. Make time for it in the morning, make time for it in the evening. And so once you've got those core steps in place and you're consistent with those, that's the other key thing. Consistency is absolutely key. That's when you're going to see results. And when we talk about the products, again, it's consistency that's key. You need to give things time to work, minimum 28 days, because that's a cell cycle. So once those steps are in place, then you can start thinking about adding, vitamin C for brightening, or niacinamide or hyaluronic acid, things like that.
Should we be? Yeah.
How much do you think applying something on top of the skin does affect the deeper levels? Because I don't know how much can actually soak in and get in there without having injectables or something.
No, that's a really good question. So for any product to be absorbed, you need to condition the skin. So that's why I talk about cleansing and exfoliating and toning. So if you have a good foundation, a good skin base, the products are then going to be absorbed. But also depends on the quality of the products you're using. There are hundreds of skincare products in the market. I always advise patients, if they're looking for results, to use medical grade skincare brands.
Are they available on the high street, Widad, or
No,
not really?
Not all of them. So some of them, like SkinCeuticals, you can get certain products. Zoe Skin Health, certain products. But the key is to use medical grade skincare. You mentioned injections. So they're totally separate. You've got injections. For example, Botox will work on muscle. It'll do nothing else. Fillers will fill a gap. That's it. And then you've got other treatments that are constantly evolving. So you've got microneedling, polynucleotides. So they will work on the collagen and elastin, but not everyone likes to have needles in their face. It's a big thing. You need to trust the person who's treating you and so on. And that's where skincare comes in. And when you use the correct skincare, it has really good effects to a point where you don't really need makeup.
Should
Any age, yeah.
Doesn't suddenly stop working at 60 or 70.
So at any age you can continue to look after your skin and you'll see results.
Exactly.
Should we be supplementing with collagen, Widad?
So I personally like to use collagen. So I use hydrolyzed marine collagen. The hydrolyzed marine collagen powder is better than the tablets. It absorbs better. And I just mix it in with vitamin C. Studies show that it helps. It's not dangerous, so why would you not try it?
Who uses collagen powder here?
Wow.
Okay, a significant amount of women. Fantastic. I do as well, and I have noticed a difference, I have to say, because of that dramatic loss in collagen.
Yeah.
Can I just come back to you? Thank you for that, Wida.
Yeah.
Can I come back to you, Angela, about hair?
Yeah.
Because what are the things that we are doing at home that inadvertently are wrecking our hair? And what are the things we should be doing to actually get back the lovely glossy hair that we had in our 20s?
Well, it could be a lot, but what I do notice is, especially if people are realizing that they're losing more hair than average, is that you become afraid to hop into that shower and do that wash. Please wash your scalp. It will only make it worse eventually, because all the buildup that is continuously building up because you want to skip that wash day to not see those hairs is actually causing inflammation on the scalp, which can result into even more hair loss. So I think that that's the number one thing that I'm noticing.
never
that we're
knew
like in
that.
denial and like, we're not going to wash because then we don't see it, because we don't want to see that big pool of hair, basically. So please continue to wash. Actually, with most scalp conditions, the treatment form, or one of the things during treatment, is to wash more frequently. So that is very important. But I think that what you could do, and I think it's quite similar to skin, is to really have a good and steady base when it comes to treating both hair and scalp, because they both do have different needs. Also, the scalp becomes more dry. So really finding a very gentle cleanser that is suitable for your scalp needs. And that really depends also on your own scalp type. But a lot of the times it tends to be a bit more dry.
So a gentle shampoo.
Gentle
yeah.
shampoo. Yes. I always say cleanse, condition, and protect. So condition is based on the strands, which also tend to be a bit more dry, a bit more brittle. So it could be more so focused on strengthening or softening to really have that soft feel when it comes to managing your hair. And then protect with both hair and scalp. So for scalp, there are really good scalp serums out there. Actually, UKLASH has one. I don't know if
Okay,
you've
because
tried
I've
that
never
one
thought
out.
about using a scalp serum. My hairdresser said to me recently, "Do you think you should start using a serum?" And I
Yeah.
was like, "Excuse me."
I feel like it first kind of started off with scalp oils, which I'm not the biggest fan of. So I'm really happy that we see more scalp serums on the market because they will give you way less buildup. It needs to be like nice and thin. So see this as kind of your like serum that you would normally apply to your face, but then to the scalp to really help hydrate the
So
scalp.
when do you use it? After you've washed your hair or
So
when
you
it's
can use it in
dry?
multiple ways. I do recommend using it right after you hop out of the shower. Why? Because then you have that clean slate and it will absorb a bit quicker.
Is that just going to give you hydration for the scalp?
It really depends on the formulation. So that's why I'm like saying like a scalp serum in general is really nice. And then you can pick your favorite or what you're looking for when it comes to treating the scalp. When it comes to boosting, for example, blood circulation, with which this one has properties of that, or to help like reduce the possibility of shrinkage of those hair follicles. There are
Okay.
multiple serums that can do multiple things. They're not miracle workers. I gotta be honest. It's really about the full 360, about what you're doing that will help. It won't hurt. It will help. Yes.
Could you microneedle maybe the frame of the hairline using that?
It could be. It could help for absorption. I do have to say that I'm not the biggest fan of doing that at home because I don't know what kind of device you're using. I don't know the depth of it. I don't know if you've disinfected it. Yeah, and sometimes it can cause more harm than good, micro tears. So there are practices out here where you can get that treatment done. I would personally recommend that because then you're just in professional hands and they can really look at your scalp because it can help with absorption. But not only with absorption, it also helps to boost that collagen. I actually got a microneedling treatment on my face a couple of days ago and peeling. So thank you. But it does wonders when it comes to that because our scalp is also aging. So yeah, I'm not the biggest fan. Could help, but I would say really get it in a treatment form that would be more beneficial. And mind you, these serums also have delivery systems that will also help with product absorption on its own.
So I know Anthea wanted to ask you a quick question.
Well, it's just obviously we're talking about lots of things that topically that you put on
Yeah.
and, medical grade skin preparations and obviously all of these things. When my hair was breaking off and I got in touch with health and I cut sugar in particular, which I love, out of my diet, slowly that tank has started to turn round. I don't think I've always washed my hair. I've always blow dried my, I have to stand in front of cameras. I have a people facing business. So it was actually beauty from within.
Oh, 100%.
And it's what you eat. And also maybe, and they're not expensive now, getting a blood test, either from your NHS doctor and just seeing, and there are supplements that do help. You don't want, as Dr. Hilary Jones said to me, you don't want to have expensive wee.
Yeah.
So, you need to actually know not what somebody on Instagram has told you should be having. You should do this. And I'm sure you would concur with this. You do this properly.
That's a good
so
point.
true. It's so true. And I do think like, that's why I'm saying like, it's not a miracle worker. I sometimes feel like we're always on the lookout for that one thing that's going to help us out.
It doesn't
unfortunately,
exist.
It's so much more complicated than that, for
So
sure.
are there particular nutrients and supplements that we should be focusing on as well for skin and hair?
It honestly also depends on if you have a deficiency or not.
I
Because
see.
I do always say get blood work done first because you first want to know if there's any deficiency to begin with. Otherwise, you're literally peeing it in your toilet. And that is a waste. And in today's economy, we want to prevent that for sure.
That's good. Thank you. And again, we're talking about skin on our whole body and hair on our whole body. So you're saying our scalp ages as well, which I never ever thought about. And the rest of our skin and hair is aging on our body as well, isn't it, Wedad? And talk to us about brows and lashes, because again, I've noticed, I mean, I was admiring your brows earlier on, Anthea, can I just say? I mean, they are lustrous. Mine are thin,
it on.
but it's amazing. Mine are thin and weedy and pathetic. So,
Can I introduce you to UKLASH?
this is exactly, oh my God, I'm at the right event. So, in terms of my brows and my lashes, which have always been a little bit dodgy, what can we be doing to help those?
So it's important to understand the reason why they may be thinning or feeling a bit brittle. So estrogen, having low estrogen, first of all, having estrogen present, it helps the hair continue to be in that growing phase, which is the anagen phase of the hair cycle. So when the estrogen drops, that hair cycle, the anagen phase, which is the growing phase, is shortened. And that's why they may look a bit brittle, they may feel thinner, they may be sparse. The important thing, obviously, first of all, is to make sure there's not an underlying medical condition. So thyroid issues will lead to loss of the outer third of the eyebrow. So if you have an underactive thyroid, if you have eczema, if you have psoriasis in that area, it's important to treat that because the inflammation will also affect the hair and the hair growth in the eyebrows. It's not permanent. It's reversible once the inflammation has settled. But assuming there is no underlying medical condition, the estrogen has dropped because of menopause, and you're starting to see these changes we have just talked about, there are ways that you can supplement by using serums, whether it's for the brow or the lashes, that will make the lashes look healthier, fuller, stronger, and very, very naturally long and very beautiful looking. Shall I demonstrate it?
Yeah, because so I have used UKLASH serum and I love
Phenomenal.
it, but I kept getting it wrong and basically just putting it in my eye. So how, I mean, just really slapping it on and then not being able to see. So how should we be doing it? I know,
Yeah,
I mean,
you
I'm
know what?
a
I'll
disaster.
demonstrate on you.
Demonstrate.
So I'll talk about so there's 3 different lash serums from UKLASH. There's a black one, which is the original one. This is the most popular one, which has over 80,000 reviews. There's a white one, which is supercharged with complex peptides. So it has a record-breaking 6 peptides in it, formulated with biologists with over 50 years of experience and approved by dermatologists, ophthalmologists, and trichologists. There's also a third one, which is silver, and it's mainly for sensitive skin. And it's supercharged with plant extracts and hyaluronic acid, which we know moisturizes lashes and skin. So we'll focus, this is the one we have. So people say it's a bit like applying an eyeliner. It's a lot easier than applying an eyeliner. You don't need to hold the skin and try and make sure you're not...
Good. I suck at that.
So all you need, first of all, you need to make sure you've got clean lashes, so you've just washed your face.
Not me.
I'll just demonstrate it lightly. And then that the lashes are dry, okay? So your face is dry. And it's a single dip, single swipe. So I usually just rest my finger here, and then it's a single swipe across the upper lash line. That's it. So one dip, one swipe,
Dip and swipe.
that's it.
And
Once
when's
a
the
day.
best time to do it? Would that be maybe before you go to bed?
So at night time, yeah.
At night, I think that's where I was going wrong.
Yeah, so
I
and
was
you
doing it
don't
before makeup.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, and you don't need to apply apply it to the lower lash line because when you blink, it transfers across anyway. But the key,
Are you actually putting it on the hair near the lash
So,
line?
on the
or
lid.
Skin
Well,
near the
on
as
the
far as I
skin.
can feel on the skin.
Yeah,
So slightly on the skin, but also
but so
getting
close to
hair.
the hair. Exactly right. The key is consistency. So, as with anything, whether it's
Yeah.
skincare, whether it's hair care, lash care, its consistency is key. So you should be using it every night for minimum 6 weeks.
Yeah.
And that's when you will start to see results. And the results are really, really nice. And then when you get a lash lift on top of that, it's phenomenal.
And how quickly do you start to see results again, did you say?
So when I used it, I was getting results from maybe 4 weeks.
Oh, really?
Actually. Yeah.
And you really do see quite a result, don't
It's
you,
beautiful.
with
It
the
really
lash?
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Yes, lady in the beautiful blouse.
I think my daughters, when they use it, it will work really fast. And I've had a lot of friends my age, and my mum loves it. It does take longer, and I think we have to realise that it is consistency. So I have an alarm on my phone,
Ooh.
which has a little like lash monitor,
to tell you when to put your lash
love that.
serum on.
Remind me to do my HRT at the same time.
Oh, very good.
Right one in the right place.
That's it.
But I really say to any like older women, our skin, our hair, everything, even our tummies, sometimes things just, our cells are a bit slower. It takes a little
Yes,
bit longer.
it does.
So just when you think, oh my God, it's been 4 weeks, but I can't see any difference, you're going through a different growth phase, stick at it. Because once you get, for some women, it's like 12 weeks. And you have to keep doing it. And once you've done it, don't stop doing it.
And has your mum seen a difference in
Oh my
her
God,
lashes?
yeah. I've got videos of my
How old's your mother?
she's 84.
84.
Oh, very nice.
And when she keeps at it and she's consistent, it's amazing difference. And I kind of stopped a little bit with my lash serum in the summer, just like because you forget.
Yeah.
And I massively noticed that I went through. I had really thin lashes from a teenager, and now I would say my brows and my lashes are probably the best, and my hair actually.
Yep.
My hair's really thin.
I know you have got great
But
hair.
also, what I do, because I don't want to be using the really powerful prostaglandin one every day, I have all three, and I will alternate so that I'll
We've got a super fan, everyone.
Yeah.
Super fan in the building.
one is like the more gentle one, and then I might go in. And same as what I do with my retinol or whatever.
Good.
I'm not going to do my high-powered stuff every day, but I will like alternate it. Like my self-care is
Incredible.
That's so
And do you
important,
use it
yeah.
on your eyebrows as well? Can you use it on your eyebrows?
I do a lovely brow serum.
Yeah.
Brow serum as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then, of course, my LED light. Because I think my LED light for my rest, my teeth, my skin, and my hair, and my brows. I'll even put my mask on my head while I do my hair.
I love how
So
you
just
mentioned that.
getting that LED light in.
Thank you for bringing that in,
Yeah.
because that was
Yeah.
actually my next question, the LED light. Is it effective, Dad?
Before we move on to the LED light, can I just make a quick comment? Because I know there's probably other people in the audience who may be a bit wary of using the black serum, which has prostaglandins in it. So the prostaglandins they're not hormones, they're fat-containing compounds, which the body produces anyway. And the way they work is they basically nudge the hair follicle to stay in that growth phase a bit longer, that anagen phase that I mentioned. And UKLASH as a company, they use 66% less prostaglandins compared to other leading brands that have lash serums. And that's deliberate because you want to be able to balance tolerance with clinical effectiveness. So I hope for anyone who did have concerns about prostaglandins, because social media and so on, I hope that reassures you a little bit.
Is that the one that actually darkens the skin in some cases?
So that's a really good question. Higher concentrations are more likely to cause those issues, and that's medical grade concentrations that are going to be in drops that are for glaucoma or whatever. The concentrations are much lower, and that's all you need. It's a low concentration, and like I mentioned, there's a reason for that. It's deliberate to make sure that it's well tolerated, and the majority of people do tolerate it very, very well.
I am conscious of time. How much time have we got left, Olivia, did you say? 50. Okay, so I'm going to come to questions in a second, but actually a really important question that I'm going to fire back
LED,
to you, Dad, is actually about the skin on our entire body.
Okay.
So we should be looking after, and LED,
Yeah.
but we should be looking after the skin on our whole body, and that also includes actually our vaginal skin and vulval skin as well, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So can you talk to us a little bit about that as well? Because I think we tend to focus on the face and then we forget everything else.
So the effects in the genital area are very similar to the effects elsewhere in terms of the dryness. And one of the easiest ways that I tell patients who complain about genital area dryness is by using a moisturizer regularly. They might ask me how, but if I what I advise them to do, I do it myself, is keep a tub of moisturizer in the bathroom, and then once they have finished what they need to do, then they would put a bit of the moisturizer, like Cetraben cream or whatever, onto toilet paper and just moisturizing, but using good emollients that act as a barrier and replace that barrier that's a bit, that's not as good as it used to be, can help the itching to a massive degree.
So we can use just straightforward,
Emollients.
unperfumed moisturizer
Yeah.
on our whole body and also on the genital area as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh,
Would you
that's
recommend
great to
anything
know.
else from a GP perspective?
I mean, I would say if anybody has any symptoms of what we now call genitourinary symptoms of the menopause, really seriously consider, as well as moisturisers, and there are specific moisturisers that are designed for that area, but also really consider topical estrogen, because whilst, rightly so, and we're not really getting into HRT today, but topical HRT, topical estrogen, doesn't have those risks, that are those small risks that are associated with other forms of HRT. And, it can kill people. So recurrent UTIs in older ladies, and, I see patients who've been on prescribed antibiotics every day for years of their life, and nobody's ever tried giving them a topical estrogen. So it's harmless. Worth a try. It's a bit messy. I think that's the biggest downside to it. Is it's a bit messy.
You know the little estrogen tablets that you just pop up.
There are different preparations.
Because those are just amazing.
So there are creams, there are tablets, there are different preparations.
And
yes, you can have that on top of your patches, gels, whatever else you use.
And actually, as Dr. Zoe says, because I'm very sensitive, I mean, HRT is a whole other topic, and you've got the doctors here to talk about that as well, because I don't get on very well with HRT particularly, and I think it's really important to say that not every woman can take it. So what do you do if you can't take it or you don't want to take it? But in terms of the vaginal atrophy and the vaginal skin, I use the estriol. So it's the estrogen that is not systemic, if that makes sense, that you're not sensitive to, but it will moisturize internally. So the estriol is the one that you want, which is, it's great. It's great. Yes, lady in the lovely blazer.
Quick question.
Hi.
Cancer patients.
Yes.
Kind of obviously, HRT is out of question. My oncologist a few months ago said it was absolutely fine for me to have the private, like people just mentioned, terrible names and medication and stuff, but the suppository,
Yes.
And it really, really affected my mood. I mean, I've never been able to do it years ago, but I didn't stick with it because I just felt really low.
That must have been the estradiol, surely, Zoe.
And I got headaches every day, but I just felt really depressed. So
and that's from the topical, yeah.
I think, people say, like, we haven't had medical menopause,
Yes.
what can we do?
But, and it's a tricky, and it's something that I think is often omitted from these conversations, that HRT is a wonderful option for so many people, but there are some people for whom it is out, and some people will go into medical menopause at a very young age, in their 20s, in their 30s, if they've had to have their ovaries removed or treatment for cancer. So I think that's why, and I know you were saying, Anna, it doesn't work for everybody as well. I mean, I'm at an age now where I'm definitely starting to experience perimenopausal symptoms, and I'm very knowledgeable, and I'm waiting, and I feel like I've got HRT as this lifeline, but I'm also aware that for some people it makes them feel worse. For some people it doesn't help, and for some people it's not an option. And that's why I think all of the lifestyle stuff that we're talking about today, if HRT is an option for you or not, the lifestyle stuff is, everybody should be thinking about it and doing it. And as well, also, I think something we've maybe omitted is the mindset as well. I mean, I have so much admiration. I work with women in their 60s, like you, Anthea. You've got such a young present. You're such a young person. But you are. But I think we step into our power at this age as well. So in Chinese culture, they celebrate the menopause. They call it the second spring. They talk about all that energy that had to focus on concentrating on your womb for you to have babies now goes to your heart, and it's for you to love and nourish yourself. And I've started saying this phrase when people say to me, yeah, but you're great for your age. And I say, no, I'm great because of my age. And I think, focusing on that mindset as well, because we do tend to get into a conversation that's a bit doom and gloom. But I think as we get older, we step into this power as well.
No, we do. And I think that's why, I mean, we mentioned it earlier, and I really hope that it's something that you take away with you, that first off, you do, and I did, it was an admission of things are changing. You might not want a baby, you've done all your children, you've done all these things, but all of a sudden, all those doors have closed and you can't, and it affects you mentally. But know it's coming. It's like Christmas. So it's going to come. So once you prepare yourself, It's going to come. That's the way you're going to feel about it. Keep talking about it. Talk to all your friends and actually know the other side. There is a huge freedom. And that, quite rightly, the second spring, there is a whole world out there for you. And you will be so grateful of it, and you will become more confident. You will speak with greater confidence because you've got more air miles behind you than you have in front of you. So you will start to actually cherish everything that you are going forward into. You will probably get rid of some things in your life that you feel are not working for you, and you will go through a change, but it is a wonderful change that you can go through. So don't be scared of it, actually embrace it. And I think that tanker is turning around because I know myself, and I'm in a business where it's always been, oh, well, you don't really work that much, when you're over 40, it's, oh no, we want the young people. It's like being at a party where you're talking to somebody and that person's always looking over their shoulders to see if somebody more interesting is coming in. And I honestly, and thanks to things like Platinum Magazine and everything that Dottie does, that I am now working more because of my age than despite my age. There are more people in this country now, 60 plus, than under 18. We are 23% of the population. There's, 23 million of us. What am I talking about? Of the population. And I think it's 15.5% of the population. So, there's a lot of us out there.
And
the
actually,
baby boomers.
and what we don't talk about enough either is the fact that it's our age group. In terms of advertising, we are the ones with the money. It's midlife women who have the money. So embrace it. But I know that we have got some hands up. So yes, you've been waiting very, very patiently with the blonde hair. Hello.
I was really interested to talk about the lifestyle changes, and I think you mentioned you sort of do the 80-20 rule.
Yeah. You got to have a good time.
What sort of exercise and workouts do you do now, and are they different compared to something?
I think I've prioritized it. I think it's very, is there a specific diet? No, eat clean. Look at a food, just eat clean. The cleaner you can eat, the less complicated it becomes, actually. And as soon as you look at packets in stores and there's a reading like about that on the back and you need your glasses to read it, that's not going to be good. And I think little and often. And the things to say no to. I still like a glass of wine. I don't need half the bottle, but don't be boring. Enjoy your life. Communication is everything. I think we learnt that watching the Blue Zone. What is it about these Mediterranean countries? They have family. They have interaction. They have
purpose.
Meals.
Yeah,
absolutely. It's different. So I think it's very simple, really. It is a little bit of exercise. You don't have to overdo it. And if you can cut out and really be aware of sugar, and we know that sadly, a glass of wine is just a glass of sugar. Apart from red, of course, it's got polyphenols in it.
that's okay.
Of course. And there's lots of things to do. I mean, we did touch on tweakments. I know I haven't frowned since I was 40. Frankly, I've wanted to on many, many occasions, but I cannot look as angry as sometimes I feel. And I have a little tiny bit of filler just in my little apples there. And I've done facial exercise and all those things that you try and do. I have got the mask and I love it. And I don't know how much it's worked because you're always working on all these things. Oh, do they work? You're always working on dilapidation at the same time as putting in. So you've just got there's a little bit of a balance going on here.
And I forgot to ask actually about the mask.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Does it work?
Does it work or does it just make you feel nice?
So I think that, studies have shown that it definitely improves skin elastin levels, the tone.
So it's worth it.
And UKLASH have their own LED mask.
Do they?
Yes.
Hang on, is that in the goodie bags? Olivia.
And it uses red and near infrared light, and the results are really impressive. I'm sure they can be shared with you, but 95% plus of people using them noticed improvement in tone, in a brighter complexion, in elasticity. So yeah, and again, consistency is key. So
Yeah.
it's using it, 3 to 5 times a week, 10 minutes at a time for 6 weeks.
Clean skin, right?
On clean skin, but
yes.
the one by UKLASH, and I'm sure you can comment. It's very easy to use. It has Velcro strap, and you could.
Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah,
And I think because red light therapy really improves sleep, and sleep is so important for skin renewal.
so important.
Hair growth as well.
So
Yeah.
everything else starts coming through. But I would even use mine, ladies, if you've still got, I had fibroids, you've got period pain, you've got the menopause shoulder that a lot of us get, because it's a silicone mask, it's not recommended to do this, but I would lay it on my belly.
Yeah. You can use it, yeah, in different parts of the body. Yeah.
And I just think it so helps your resting phase and everything else.
I agree.
That is fascinating. So
Yeah.
you use it on other parts of your body?
Yeah, because it's a silicone one.
Yeah.
I've got really bad rheumatoid and osteoarthritis as well, and my whole life, and red light therapy has always been really helpful to me.
Amazing.
And I like mental shoulders were weird.
Mhm.
Thick, but lay it over. But the way it helps you rest is incredible. And I use it for my teenagers when they were younger, my kids now in their 20s. It's a great way to lower the stress.
That's amazing.
So that's, just a little knock-on effect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm very conscious of time. So yes, a lovely lady in the beautiful striped shirt.
So I got my hormone balance was really off when I started HRT, and it caused a lot of weight gain really suddenly, and also hair loss. My question is, they've got the hormone balance correct, but will the hair loss correct itself, or is it done and dusted and I've got to live with it?
So for those of you that didn't hear it, we've got a lady at the front who her hormone balance was off. The doctors managed to get the hormone balance about right, but you'd lost a lot of hair, is that right? So the question is, will I regain my beautiful, lustrous hair again now that my hormones are balanced? To the expert.
I think personally that what you have been dealt with was telogen effluvium, because you started the medication, which is also, again, another impact on the body. So the body responds to that. Personally, I don't know your specific situation, obviously, but it could be that it will grow back. Could be. I don't know your personal situation when it comes to that.
But I think something also to bear in mind is with HRT, all of the symptoms that you're trying to treat with HRT can actually trigger and create or make worse. It's not a straightforward science, and HRT isn't right for everybody, or sometimes it needs tweaking. It can be difficult to get it right. I always think if you're somebody who can safely trial HRT and you think it might work, it's not going to do you any harm to do a 3-month trial. But telogen effluvium, which is what it could have been, which is kind of what happens after you've had a baby as well, when all your hair falls out. What's actually happening there is your hair's starting to grow again, your follicles are becoming active again. So all those additional hairs that you had because they hung around in the resting phase are being pushed out by the new hairs. So you kind of feel like you're losing your hair, but it's actually because your hair follicles are becoming active again because you've recovered from that period of stress, or in this scenario, because the HRT is activating the hair follicles again. So if it's telogen effluvium, then the answer is yes, it will replenish. But if actually in your scenario, altering the hormones with HRT caused the shrinkage or the degeneration of the hair follicles, then it might not. We don't know. But how long ago was that the hair shedding happened? Okay.
And have you noticed it getting better since? Great.
I think it's really important, like as you were saying, that everyone understands that it's really important to check with your doctor regularly, not just think, oh, that's been prescribed, now I don't need to check.
Yeah.
Some doctors, my NHS GP is amazing, and she was really good at helping me through this. Let's keep on top of it, keep our
That's great.
blood tests done regularly.
So,
Yeah,
so again, the
absolutely.
lady at the front was saying it's really important to keep talking to your GP regularly and to
Mhm.
keep getting tested, get your bloods done regularly, and keep on top of your symptoms and your treatment regularly. We did have the lady in the lovely, yes, you in the lovely white, yes, lovely white blouse.
I just want to say, first of all, this has been such an intelligent, informative conversation, so thank you.
Thank you.
Particularly on such a current subject as menopause. But to the doctors, I want to ask, with the bio-optimization and all of the different tests that are coming in, can we be more optimistic towards biological aging rather than chronological aging? And is that going to be much more liberating for women and men going forward in the future?
So that's a really interesting question. So you're saying that can we be biologically optimal, exactly, rather than just chronologically aging? Can we be biologically optimized?
So many tests that are available.
Yeah.
And we have 70-year-olds and who have biological aging tests, but actually, there's one lady from Oxford Healthspan, she's 60, she's actually 21.
A biological test says she's
Mhm.
21. Yeah.
That's amazing.
I'm happy to start off on that one. So I think one thing you can't change is your genetics. That's, and actually how your body will age biologically compared to your chronological clock. The best you can do is set by your genetics to some extent. Then there's the environmental factors. So how you live your life is the next most important thing. And I think we're living in a world now where we're taking this step towards personalized medicine. It's very exciting. And I think the next 50 years, we will see the way in which healthcare is delivered or the way in which we look after ourselves. It's going to radically change. I think with AI as well, we sort of touched on it earlier, that in the not too distant future, you will be able to do tests to look at your genetics and your cells and your makeup to know exactly what you need to do. To be able to predict, I will hit menopause at the age of 54. My symptoms will start 5 years before that.
My
So I
God,
need to start
really?
doing
Yeah.
bone strengthening exercises at this age in order to
Incredible.
optimally prevent osteo. That's how fine-tuned we're going to be in the future. I think where we're at now in terms of what's accessible to most of us, even if you do all of the testing and you look at these tests where they look at your glycans and all of that, the answer is always the same. The answer is in terms of what you can do. It's the stuff we've been talking about.
Yeah.
It's the nutrition, it's the eating whole foods, it's the regular exercise, exposing yourself to daylight. And we're getting into a world now where people can create their own peptide formulations and inject themselves, and it's £10,000 a week. But if you're not eating any vegetables,
Yeah.
you can eat 5 portions of vegetables a day and you will get 10 times as much benefit as that. So the basic stuff is always going to be the most important stuff in terms of environmental factors. And I have to mention vitamin D. Please
Yes.
take vitamin D
Yes.
supplement if you have dark skin all year round.
But also
Definitely in the
sleep,
winter
honestly.
months.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that has been slept on. But I've talked to quite some sleep experts, and they really say that when you're asleep, that is where your body is regenerating, and that has a huge effect long term as well. And even though we're kind of like, yeah, but I can live with like 5 to 6 hours of sleep, we really need it. And it's not even about the amount of hours, it's more so about it being in pretty set time so that your body knows when it's time to sleep. So also, like, those little things have a huge effect long term as well. And I think it's more so about that we're in a day and age that we want to be more aware, but now that we're becoming more aware, what are we gonna do about it? Because a lot of the things we need to do, that injection will help, but there's so much more that we can do on a daily basis that will build up to, well, getting that better biological age eventually.
Thank you. I'm very, very conscious of time, and I know that everybody's
If
got
there's
jobs
one-
to go to.
There's
We-
one lady, she has been sitting with her
Very
hand up.
patiently.
Yeah,
Yes.
a long time. I
Okay,
see
so
you. Sorry.
Let's have that question, and then just to let everybody know, if you need to go, you need to go. We will be hanging around, so come and talk to us. But just officially, the final question, let's have it.
So I have got a condition called premature ovarian insufficiency. So that is premature menopause, and I was diagnosed at 15. And so obviously I'm on HRT and all of this sort of stuff. I'm just asking a question about longevity. So what like your quick fire tips of how to be consistent, what is the best things to make sure that it lasts for the best time? If that makes sense.
Yeah. How you can last the longest
Yeah.
and fittest.
Like,
Be fit within those years.
I went through lots of changes,
Yeah.
and then obviously I'm on HRT now, like, I'm not 25.
Yeah.
But basically very quick tips on how to keep consistent, how to, like, because obviously it will be a long time on HRT and things like that.
I think, and this kind of wraps into what I wanted my final point to be today, is there's so much out there that we can't control. And I think you've highlighted a really good point there, as did one of the ladies earlier, people who've had certain types of cancer, is that this journey of the reverse puberty is different for everyone. And the fact is, for some people, it's harder than others because of the age in which it starts. But the thing we all have is this, and the one thing we have is our mindset. And when it comes to what you're asking about consistency, because we know that our lifestyle habits for someone so young as yourself from the age of 15 are so important. The biggest mindset shift I would encourage everyone in this room to have is think like the Chinese do. You've got to prioritize yourself first. It's about putting yourself, because we do, especially as women, we think about everybody else. And actually, if you're struggling because of your hormones, and say, for example, it's mood changes, mood swings, you're irritable, if you go for a walk around the block and spend some time on your own and that does it for you, it's better for everybody else anyway. So I think it's, you're looking after everybody by looking after yourself, as you are in every other way. So I think the one thing you have is mindset, and the biggest shift in mindset is putting yourself to the top of that priority list above work. You know, for some of us, if we don't turn up to work, somebody actually might die. But for most people, that's not true. So if you need a duvet day, take a duvet day. If somebody's pissing you off, get rid of them. Like Anthony was saying, I'm sure you get rid of people. Do it at a young. You don't have to wait until like you have to. You're absolutely forced through desperation to get rid of those like vampire energy suckers out of your life. Just prioritize yourself and do what's right for you. Being selfish is a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not a bad
And
thing.
that's amazing.
Self-care isn't selfish, is it?
No.
Exactly.
It is about mindset. So to answer your question, as Zoe said, it's fundamentally about mindset. You've got your genes, but it is about mindset. So your body and your mind is inextricably linked. So the more positive that you can think, the more that's going to reflect in your body and your health. So thank you, everybody, for attending. We will hang around. Thank you to our fabulous panel. We have Anthea, we've got Dr. Zoe, we have got Angela, and we, of course, have Dr. Wedad as well. Thank you very much. Thank you. Indeed. Thank you to you. Thank you.